Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Sufit here. I'm here today with Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator and litigator, and we're here to discuss a very interesting question. Charles, I want to ask you, you're a mediator, you're a litigator. Can anyone mediate a sibling estate fight? What do you say about that?
Well, anyone could mediate, I guess, anything that they want to mediate, but I think sibling estate fights are so different that you have to take a much different approach, and it's not everyone's cup of tea as a mediator to deal with those kinds of disputes.
Well, why are they different? What are some of the differences?
Well, siblings, you've had them all your life. They're sometimes they're together in the womb, but there's the history, and it's in our DNA that that there's going to be sibling rivalry, that we're going to crave the love and attention of a parent, and that tension is in every sibling relationship, and that calls for a much different approach, and in my view, a different style mediation. And it's not, like I said, not every mediator is going to want to do that or have the patience to take the time to mediate a sibling estate fight, because you have to deal with all that history and DNA. Let me give you a story very quickly. We just had a new grandson. My daughter just had a little baby boy. He's 4 weeks old, and we were on the video.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she has also, we have a 3-year-old. She has a 3-year-old daughter, or granddaughter, and it was just beautiful. We were on the phone on the weekend on WhatsApp and video, and the baby's on our daughter's, lying on her tummy, and he's sleeping. It's so beautiful. And my granddaughter is like, a foot away on the couch next to them watching TV. And all of a sudden she just slides over and puts her head on my daughter's shoulder and sort of nuzzles, sort of touching her baby brother and sort of nuzzling in with my daughter. Oh, it's what a Kodak moment. Remember Kodak moments? Beautiful. But that's the beginning of the sibling rivalry. It's already started. They both need and want mom's attention, their parents' attention.
So you think she was trying to get in on the video? She was trying to get in on the moment.
It was totally unconscious, and that's my point. It's built into our DNA. So you have to understand this. But even when you're dealing with these adult siblings, they're still siblings, and they're still children of the parent. And it never changes, and you have to appreciate that. And that's why these disputes are so different and sometimes very difficult to settle.
Well, aren't they just about the numbers? I mean, I'm sure at some mediations that probably just walk in and say, what are the numbers?
Well, in a lawsuit, that's often all you can deal with are numbers. But till you even get to the numbers, you have to really build the trust and deal with the relationship. This is not like a commercial dispute where it's always about the numbers or what the damages are. And it's even different from a matrimonial dispute, because you can always trade in your spouse for another spouse, but you can't trade in your sibling. You may choose not to have a relationship with that sibling, but even that lack of relationship is a relationship. You can't get rid of that sibling. You're stuck with that sibling for life. So it's very different.
And I guess there must be stories that go. I know in your book, Bobby Gets Bobcast, you told a story about a client who, was it a hamster? You killed my hamster or something like. What? Yes, I guess there are old resentments. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about a case as adults, and they're talking about the time when they were little kids and their sibling, threw their hamster out the window. I mean, it's a terrible story, but these stories, by the way, are not unusual. They do happen. I've seen them come up in other cases, and I've read about them. Or, I remember once doing an examination on a cross-examination in a sibling estate dispute, and the sibling said, your client's dishonest. Why is she dishonest? Well, when she was 10 years old, she stole a chocolate bar. I mean, these are people that are in their 40s, and they're talking about when they were 10 years old, someone stole a chocolate bar at the convenience store. These things are in their DNA. It never goes away. And as a mediator, you have to have the patience and the understanding to delve into these relationships. I'm not, you're not a psychologist or a social worker, but you have to be aware of it. And you have, like I said, you have to have the patience. And a lot of mediators just want to cut to the chase and talk numbers. And I think that's a mistake.
Sounds like there are a lot of nuances here in this situation that you might not have in other kinds of disputes.
Exactly. You have
yeah.
to understand what's driving that dispute. Until you come to some sort of understanding about that, it's going to be difficult to settle the case, in my view.
Are you saying that you killed my hamster could 45 years later impede a settlement until that's kind of out in the open?
Yes, because there's that emotional gut response that is sort of stopping the brain from thinking rationally and saying, look, how do we end this dispute? So as a mediator in these sibling estate disputes, what you try to do is you've got to break that mindset and say, look, can't fix everything that's happened, but one thing you do have control of is getting out of this dispute and getting out of this expensive and stressful litigation. And that's our job as a mediator, to help them see that.
And you specialize in sibling estate disputes, yes?
Well, it's something that I, in my practice as a litigator, so many of these cases are involving siblings that almost by default, this is what happens. And I find this is an area that I enjoy working on, even though it can be stressful. I really feel very strongly that I can bring something to the table to help the parties get out of this, very emotional and difficult time.
Maybe specialize isn't the right word, because I think that's a technical term now, but you focus on this.
That's my focus.
That's your focus, yeah.
I think you want to focus on something where you feel you can bring something to the table. And that's what I feel like.
Well, I know a lot of other mediators might find it a little messy, so it's good that there are some people who focus on it. Our guest today has been Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator and litigator. Thank you very much, Charles.
My pleasure.